Let's have a look at this exercise here, where we are asked to trim off some bases of every read. So extend the FastP script. Yeah, we already have a FastP script from up here, right? But also trim away the first and last 10 bases of every read. So this will make the reads shorter. So why on earth should we do this? Well, the reason is that often the poorest or the most error-filled part of the read is at the ends. So sometimes it's actually better to trim off this end. So the reads become shorter, but with fewer errors in them. Yeah, it's not like you always do this, but sometimes we do this. So we should see if we can manage this on our own now. That's the point of this exercise, to see if we can go a little bit beyond what we have been served up here, you could say. So how should we go about this? First, we need to know something about this FastP software and how trimming, if possible at all, how do we do it? And then it says, try to Google FastP GitHub to get to the GitHub site. And this is usually a very good idea. Whenever you have a software and you are wondering how do I use this software, finding if it has a GitHub site, and very often they have. I mean, most softwares have a GitHub site these days. And often on that GitHub site, we find some manual or some information about how to use this software. So that's what we will try to do now. And then we should look out for something called Trim Font 1, or is it an L? I think it's a 1. Trim Tail 1, and so on. Yeah, and of course for the R1 reads, yeah. Trim front and trim tail. Let's see if we can do that. So first of all, Google. And then we Google for FastP GitHub. Name of the software and then GitHub. And here, the first hit is actually what we are looking for. Let's click on this. Yeah, GitHub is a sort of repository or for code projects, right? You may have a GitHub site on your own, but in case you don't, everyone can get a GitHub site. It's for free, and or create projects that you share with other people. So that's all these open source softwares, or not all, but almost all of them have GitHub sites. And here we have the one for FastP. And then we typically scroll down here and read about, so here we can see there is actually it's a lot about FastP here. And what I would probably be interested in, yeah, first a little bit about how to use the software and so on, how to get it, how to install. This is typical. And input, output. So here you can learn a lot. And if we scroll pretty far down here, yeah, it said something about global trimming here. Yeah, it's already mentioned here. Global trimming. FastP supports global trimming, which means trim all reads in the front or the tail. Yeah, that's exactly what we are looking for. And then we can see this these options here: trim font 1, trim tail 1, trim font 2, trim tail 2. Yeah, if you want to trim the reads to maximum length, okay, now we are told to trim off 10 bases, so we should use this sort of solution here. So notice you either use a single minus F or double minus trim font. I prefer this longer version of the options. Even if it's more typing, it's more clear what I'm doing. I think that if you scroll all the way to the bottom here, you have a full list of all the options here, and I think you will find this trim options in here as well. Here they are. Trim font 1, front 1. Yeah. Trimming how many bases in front of RN read. Default is 0. Yeah, not trimming at all. So this is how we should now extend our script. So then I go back to RStudio. Here is my script from previous, and here is the command line, right? So what I could typically do now, I can just extend this command line. It's already pretty long, so but it doesn't matter if it gets long. Here is another tip for you. If you want to break it into several lines, that's possible for readability, you could say. Let me do that now and show how to do that. Let's say I want to break here. And then you can't just do like this. You will have to add a backslash here to tell Unix that this line is now continuing on the next line. So please, whenever you sort of break a line, a command line like this, which should actually be one sort of long line, you have to end the line by this backslash. But if you do that, you can do it like this. And then, for instance, here I break it again, like this. Yeah, that's enough. But now I can add in here. And the point is this, these options can come at any order, you could say, in the command line. As long as you use this text here. So let's say let me copy this one. And I put it in like here in the second line here. I now paste in this and then the number of bases that I want to trim, 10, right? So that means remove 10 bases at the start of the at the front of the R1 read. And then I want to do exactly the same with the R2 read, but that's similar, right? Trim font 2. So I can just simply copy here, I think. Copy, and then I put it on the same line here because it's sort of, and instead of trim front 1, I say trim front 2. And this is also 10 bases. Okay, and then I have this line shift again. And now I want to trim also from the tail at the other end of the reads, right? So both from the start and the end of the reads. And then I do exactly something similar, right? Use this option instead. Trim tail 1, 10, and then, trim tail 2, also 10. And then I have to remember to add this one. This is so easy to forget. But then you will have an error because then the command line sort of ends here, right? And it will complain that you don't specify the out, and I suppose, I don't know, but you can try if you like to forget one of these and run it and see what happens. Let's not forget it and see what's happened. First, of course, you have to save all your changes, so it's no longer red up here. It's the same file. By the way, before I run this now, perhaps I should change the name of the output, because if I rerun here now, it will overwrite the existing output files, right? It will overwrite these. So if you want to keep these and not change them, you should probably change the name of the output here now. So here's save to new files. Otherwise it will overwrite. I think I will overwrite them after all. I keep the same names, so these will get new versions. You can look at the size of the files before we run now. The first one is 104 megabytes and the other one is 127. I expect them now to become smaller, right? Because I take away something from the reads. So the reads should be shorter and the files should be slightly smaller. Not super much, but a little bit. Let's see if we can make this run. And if we haven't, it's so easy to do typing errors here, so it may be that it crashes when we try to run it now, but we will see. SBatch, yeah, first of all, I have to make sure I'm in the folder where I think I am. Yeah, here is the fastp.shell script. I'm in my module 2 folder, yeah. So I'm in this folder that I see here now in my terminal window. Fine. sbatch fastp.sh. If it doesn't extend, there is, yeah. If it doesn't extend your, it's a bad sign, right? But of course there were many files here now with starting with fastp dot. So that's why it couldn't recognize the shell file, because there were three choices. You have to type fastp.s, and then it was clear which one I wanted. Let's sbatch this one. I also have this sq command from that we sort of made in another part of this module. So let me use that and my username like this. Yeah, it's already done. Let's see here. If I refresh this one, you should see at least a new log file, because the old log file was here and this is the new one, because the job ID is not the same. So at least the log file was not overwritten. This is a new version of a log file. But these files were now overwritten, and you can see they become smaller, yes. 97 megabyte and 119. And also, of course, these reports become different. So let's have a look at this HTML file that now occurred, because this has also been updated. And let's just quickly scroll down to these quality profiles. Here it's how it looked like before filtering, same as before for the R1 reads. And here is for the R2 reads. And let's now scroll down to see how it looks after. Yeah, now it's different, right? Because we trimmed away the start and the end, 10 bases at each end. So now we lost this. So this is R1 reads after processing and R2 reads after processing. So we lost this, this here is gone, and also this part here is gone. So that's how it changed. But the reads are shorter, right? They have become shorter. But at least we now have seen how we can add some more code to the command line for extending this processing. And if you go back to the GitHub site, you will see that there are plenty of other options as well, things you can add to this command line to do all kinds of filtering and trimming and rearrangement or whatever on the reads. So this software can be used for, yeah, for a number of operations actually.